Hello and welcome to a millinery hat making video. My name is Ilona, I'm a milliner based in London, and today I'm going to be making a 1960s Soviet-style Trilby bucket hat using Melusine fur felt. I'm going to talk about the design choices and inspiration, make this hat shape, and then also review a millinery supplier where I bought all of the materials for this project. Just remember, this is my preferred method. There is no right or wrong way, it's whatever works for you. Let's gather the materials and get started. I'm going to start by talking about this hat design. I did not design this hat. This hat illustration comes from a 1962 Soviet-era sewing magazine titled Riga Fashions. I was absolutely enchanted by this coat and hat set. I don't know if I'll ever get round to making the coat, so I thought I'd start by making the hat instead. The crown looks like a trilby shape, which is a block I do not have, but that's okay because there are ways to achieve these dimples using a standard crown block. The brim looks like a downturned brim, which is shorter at the back and longer at the front. We'll get into why this is a little bit later on. For now, all you need to know is that this is also a block that I do not have, so I'm going to have to make it myself.
And that's exactly where I'm going to start. For a comprehensive list of tools and materials, have a look at the description box. I'm tracing a head-size oval onto some drafting paper and marking the front and back. Then I'm going to slice this oval into 8 sections and draw on an equidistant brim. I'm making mine 10 centimeters wide, but you can make yours any size you like. In addition to this, I'm drawing another oval on the inside of my head size oval to act as the hat size band. This one is 2 centimeters wide. Cut this pattern out and even out all the edges. This doesn't have to be perfect, but symmetry is pleasing to the eye. Once you've cut the outside, also cut out the inner oval and snip into it to convert it into tabs. Next, I'm going to figure out how much the brim needs to slope to look as similar as possible to the illustration. I've balanced my crown block on a tall stand to give myself plenty of room, and I'm going to use masking tape to attach the head size tabs to it. Make sure you align your front and back marks to the crown block. Afterwards, I realised it would have been easier to do this with the crown flat on the table, so don't do it like me. Be sensible and attach the brim to the crown flat on the table. Anyway, with your crown back on the stand, slash into the 8 section lines that you drew on earlier. Don't cut through the paper fully, you want the paper to stay joined up at the head size opening. This is known as the slash and spread method of pattern drafting. You can read more about it in the book called From the Neck Up by Denise Dreyer. To create the angle of the brim that you want, overlap the slashes to make the brim angle down, or spread the slashes to make the brim slant up. Secure everything with tape. I'm making the front of my brim angle down further than the back. This is because I plan to wear this hat tilting backwards just like in the pictures. The shallower angle at the back will accommodate my hair, neck and upper back curve. Now that I'm happy with my shape, it's time to take it off the crown block and trace the new pattern. I cut the pattern open at the front, and this was a bad idea as later it caused a crease in my felt. So if you try this, make sure to cut your pattern at the back instead. Looking back at my illustration, I think the back of the brim looks shorter than the front, so this is where I'm going to incorporate that into the flat pattern. I've made my brim back width 1/4 shorter than at the front, and smoothed the brim edge curve at the sides so that everything blends together. Once again, to achieve some symmetry, I've folded the pattern in half before cutting the new brim edge curve. I've traced this cut-up pattern onto some new pattern paper and then traced it onto some cardboard. You'll notice that I've cut away the head size tabs as they are no longer needed. Long story short, don't use corrugated cardboard. It bends instead of curves. You need to use mounting board, grey board or paperboard, which is between 15,000 or 30,000 microns thick. As this card isn't corrugated, it will curve evenly. I happen to have some lying around from my days as a graphic designer. And now to block the crown. I'm going to be using a plain crown block and freeform a trilby shape. Follow all the usual steps for blocking. I've protected my block using Clingfilm, and my Melusine fur felt hood has been on the steamer for a short while. As this is fur felt, it will be super easy to block. The rabbit fur used in the millinery industry for making these hoods is a byproduct of the European food industry. This particular hood I am using is vintage from the 1950s, so perfect for this 1960s hat design. To shape it, I am pulling it over the block until it molds to the curves. If it's not quite stretching enough, I'm adding more steam directly from the steamer. To hold it in place, I'm using a rubber band. You don't want to use pins for this freeform technique just yet. This is because the next step is to locate the center front and, using your thumbs, push the hood upwards away from the block. Do the same to the back. Form the top dip into the shape you want. I've gone for a teardrop. To create the front dimples, press into the felt with a lemon. Yes, that's right, your eyes aren't deceiving you, I am using a lemon. Several vintage books I've read suggest doing this with an egg iron, so I was going to do this step using an actual boiled egg. However, it turns out I didn't have any eggs at this moment, so the next best thing was a lemon. Next, it's time to put some pins in so that the shape holds as it dries. I'm using dressmaking pins for this so that I don't end up with large pinholes when I take them out. You only need a small number of pins, 4 at the top and 3 in each dimple. As I've already mentioned, this hood material is called a Melusine. This is used to describe a fur felt hood that has long shaggy strands of fur. This type of material needs to be handled with great care and delicate fingers. It is also advisable to create a uniform nap out of the long fur strands. To do this, I am using a soft natural bristle brush and brushing all the hairs in the same clockwise direction. On your hat, it doesn't have to be clockwise. It can be anti-clockwise, downwards, or upwards. Go for whichever direction will suit your design the best. It's the next day and it's time to work on the brim. This is where I realised that I should have blocked it all in one, meaning that I should have attached the brim onto the block first and then shaped the crown and the brim in one go. Originally I wanted to make this hat with a crown to brim join, however I realised I really liked the taller crown, and that meant I wouldn't have enough felt in this cone to have such an overlap. Never mind, I'm going to take it off the block, attach the brim to the block and hope that steaming just the brim part won't undo all the hard work of shaping the Trilby crown. To attach the brim to the crown, I'm using masking tape. I'm also trying to make sure that the brim is level all the way around the base of the crown. Then I'll cover it in Clingfilm and begin the blocking process. Well, this was long and tedious. It took me an awfully long time. I kept having to reposition the base of the hat and undo and redo all my pins that I put through the cardboard. In conclusion, this would have been easier if I had a cape lean. Some observations I made about this cardboard block. I should have put the cardboard join at the back of the hat rather than the front. You can see a slight crease at the centre front exactly where the cardboard was joined together. Blocking over the cardboard brim with felt was difficult. I think these types of cardboard blocks lend themselves better to buckram, straws and cinemaze. For blocking felt, you want to be able to stretch and pull the felt over shapes that are very firm, like traditional wooden blocks. Perhaps what I could have done is reinforce the underside of the cardboard brim using 2-part polyurethane foam. If you'd like to know how to do this, I've got a couple of videos which I'll link to in the top right. Another way to reinforce this cardboard would be to put a ring of wire around the outside and at the head fitting. That would in fact be easier than using the polyurethane foam. If I was to do this again, this is exactly what I would do. But for now, I persevered and eventually ended up with a passable Trilby crown and bucket brim. Now it's time to trim it.
Here's what really attracted me to this illustration. This beautiful and elegant flowing black and white striped ribbon. I went to the supplier where I had originally bought the Melusine cone from, Petershams, and had a look through their ribbon selection. There were 4 options that could work. This 15mm gradient stripe, this 25mm stripe, this rather snazzy looking 25mm stripe, and this classy looped linen edge black and white 20mm ribbon. And of course there's the option to stay true to the original illustration and stitch a thin black Petersham onto a wider white Petersham ribbon. But this would be really time consuming to hand stitch invisibly, so I'm ignoring this option. What really helped me deliberate was sketching these ribbons onto the drawing to see what effect each pattern would give. And after a week of playing around with these on my wall, I ordered the snazzy stripe and the classy looped linen so that I could see them in real life. Now, of course, almost every hat needs a head-sized Petersham ribbon to go around the inside head fitting. This is where my review of Petershams as a supplier comes in. Honestly, I give them 5 stars for customer service. I called them up and spoke to Ella. I explained that I needed to find a close colour match to the Melusine hood which I had ordered from them. And in 1.5 hours I had an email back with some helpful pictures so that I could have a look and pick one. Unfortunately, there wasn't an exact colour match, but I ended up ordering a darker option and a lighter option so that I could decide when I saw them. I'd like to say a big thank you to Petershams for making it possible for me to be lazy and not have to leave my house to colour match ribbons. I have been ordering from them since I got started in millinery almost 5 years ago, and the quality, colour selections and service have been consistently impeccable. I highly recommend you check them out for your next millinery project. Back to my hat design.
Here is the hat with the snazzy ribbon, and here is the hat with the classy ribbon. I think I'm going to go with the classy looped linen edge Petersham ribbon. I like how the black contrasts with the pale blue of the felt, and yet it still looks soft because of the light linen edges. I don't need to do anything to the edge of this hat as I want it to stay slightly floppy, so I won't be putting in a wire. I don't even need to cut the edge as it came off the block just the right size. Before sewing on the decorative outer ribbon, I'll sew in the head size fitting ribbon. I've measured it to my head size plus 3 centimeters. I'm going to curve it as this helps it conform to the curvature of the head and make the hat sit more comfortably. You'll need to make sure that your ribbon is a true millinery Petersham and has a natural fibre content. Polyester grosgrain will not work here. Once that's ironed into a C-curve, I'm going to stitch up the ends, double check it still fits the head size and sew it into the head fitting using invisible stab stitches on the ribbon side and long running stitches on the felt side. Then I'm going to join the ends of the decorative outer ribbon and attach it to the outside of the hat. This ribbon will hide the long running stitches from the head size ribbon. There's no need to stitch this ribbon down all the way around. I'm going to tack it down at the front and sides. As a finishing flourish, I'm going to bend back the shorter edge of the ribbon and stitch it down diagonally. This gives a pleasing offset arrangement to the dangling ends. And here is the finished hat. I'm going to wear it for an afternoon stroll around my local antiques market. I've paired it with a black cape coat which isn't vintage, but I think it looks like it could be from the 60s. Do you like this hat? What would you have done differently? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. This really helps me grow and reach a larger audience. For more millinery content, you can follow me on Instagram at @byalonamillinery. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.